It was a really lucky day here in hematology when Mike Schiller applied for the insurance specialist social work role here in 2009. Prior to that, in 2008, 2007, Doctors Leslie Raffini and Kim Smith-Whitley and others have recognized the unbelievable burden and challenges that the insurance system was placing on patients and their families. As a result, this position was created by hematology to find someone to address what Mike would later call crippling barriers to care. Once we met him, we all agreed that he would be the perfect fit for this position, and boy was he the perfect fit. He surpassed our greatest hopes, to be honest. Over the next 10 years, Mike worked tirelessly with patients and their families in clinic and also the medical team and the payers. As word grew about his expertise, he became a resource and educator for employees across CHOP and even beyond CHOP. We used to say that his name became synonymous with the role and everyone wanted a Mike Schiller for their clinical area. I'm sure that in his time at CHOP, he directly assisted thousands of patients, and through his generous donation of time and talents, he also assisted other staff, participated in new employee orientations, provided trainings and presentations, indirectly assisting thousands more. He was just the best. He became the expert at mitigating insurance challenges at CHOP. And even when his health challenges became so severe in his last year of life, he continued to work with the same persistence and selfless devotion up to and including on his last day here at CHOP, August 29, 2019. I visited with him after he left CHOP, and we discussed some ideas that Trudy Toom-Johnson and I were kicking around, some significant ways to honor his very significant contributions. Through tears, I proposed a few ideas and asked him for some suggestions. His response was quintessential Mike Schiller. Well, Lisa, my favorite idea would be to have an insurance training every year at CHOP. I won't be there to provide what everyone needs, so I think that would just be perfect. An annual training, just perfect for this. And then he added, in a way so typical of Mike, I can remember it like it was yesterday, thinking of us rather than himself, but if that's too much work for all of you, for the others, you could certainly do one of the other things that you proposed. They would be fine and much easier. And so, to all of you, we are presenting this video with recollections and insights from colleagues he worked with so closely here, which we hope will serve as a record of the consequential role he played here at CHOP. And then, as for the training, that's from Mike.
So my name is Leslie Raffini, and I direct the Hemophilia Treatment Center here at CHOP. And we were fortunate to have hired Mike to work within our team and our division many years ago when we recognized that our patients were having more and more complex challenges with insurance. And it would not be uncommon for us to hear about a patient who suddenly had lost insurance and their clotting factor was no longer being delivered. And so our nurses and social workers would have to stop everything they were doing that day. It would take hours, if not days, to re-establish insurance for patients. And our nurses are not insurance specialists. So I think it was Lisa May Lee Howell's idea to hire someone who could really focus on helping our patients and families obtain the insurance that they needed so that they could get the care that they deserved.
Our families had some unique insurance barriers in place regarding our children's testing in the hematology department at CHOP. Mike was a huge help in getting the questions answered that nobody could seem to figure out. I have spoken to Mike on many occasions, and he really is one of a kind. It's hard to find advocates like him that actually are willing to do the work to resolve issues between the patient's parents and the insurance companies. We are truly thankful for his patience and resilience. You told me before that Mike Schiller is a wealth of information, but he was beyond helpful to me in teaching me how to navigate the system to work on getting insurance activated for a medically needy child. Without his advice and knowledge, I would still be searching for answers, and he was able to point me in the right direction from the start.
So I met Mike about 5 years ago when I started in the hematology department. He is a social worker and I am a nurse, but we worked very closely together to make sure that all of our new patients were able to be seen in a timely fashion and had appropriate insurance coverage. and we shared an office. So
Mike was an incredible contact at a lot of different insurance companies. He made contacts with everybody. That was part of his personality. One day I had called the special needs coordinator of one of the insurance companies that Mike had given me her name, and I was making no progress at all with this person. She wasn't helping me at all. And towards the end I just said, yeah, Mike Schiller had suggested I call you. And it was like the doors opened up. You know, she just said to me, Mike Schiller? You know Mike Schiller? And it was amazing. She went above and beyond to help the family. We just talked about Mike the whole time. And I called him afterwards and told him the story, and he just kind of laughed about it. But that was kind of typical of the way Mike was with everybody.
I do think about what Mike would do when practicing. Mike had an instrumental role here in our division, and he had a very unique role. As the insurance specialist, he had a very special knowledge base that none of us had. And it was a position that was really created for him that didn't exist in our department or really throughout the hospital before he came here. So he really had a very, very unique role as a social worker dealing specifically with insurance and all the barriers and challenges that come with that for families and for practitioners and providers as well. Mike was a very, very strong advocate for patients and families and recognized the many barriers that exist and how complicated the insurance system is. And that was something that he made clear to those that he worked with.
My inner Mike shows through my work by questioning things that don't seem right and not feeling afraid to do so. Mike was infamous for saying what he had to say when he was advocating for patients and families with insurance companies. I mean, his tagline was, "Is this line recorded?" Because that came right before he got ready to say exactly what he felt. And it didn't stop him knowing that it's recorded or not. What he did was he assured the person receiving the message that it was not a personal attack on them, but a statement on behalf of the families and the patients that the system was unfair or sucked, as he would say, on the phone. So, you know, I think that, you know, what Mike has left as his legacy will be forever remembered, and for as long as I live and have the ability to influence other social workers, I want to know, is this being recorded?
Knowing Mike, I now, no matter how complex an insurance issue seems, I always think of Mike never giving up, even when I've been on hold with an insurance company for over an hour, or I've submitted appeals and grievances to insurance companies. I will say, knowing Mike, there's not an option to give up.
My inner Mike shows when I'm on the phone with the insurance companies, or even when I'm in the office and I'm trying to educate these providers to let them know that things that I need them to do to help me better get the things that these families need. So just when I'm educating the providers or any of the social workers or nurses or any of the families, just understanding what he taught me to better assist everyone in navigating through the healthcare system, or just trying to tell the insurance company, I need you guys to let me know how I can best assist this family. Let me know what these benefits are, because the family needs to know these things in order to come to their appointment, in order to get this testing to see what disease or what disability their patient has. So all of those things, when I do them, I think about what Mike would tell me what to do when calling them, or how Mike would show me what to do when educating someone.
I feel like I'm always working on my inner Mike. His unwavering commitment to his families is something that really inspired me when I was very new in this field and greatly impacted who I am as a social worker, and it's something that I always try to emulate to the best of my abilities. And even on those really challenging days, I try to remember that commitment and that dedication and carry it through with everything that I'm doing as a social worker.
I have never, and I've been around for a long time, I have never found somebody who was so passionate about the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought, you know, I bled green. Well, My green was maybe like a light green. Mike bled the Eagles green. He was an Eagles fanatic. I thought I knew statistics. No, I was a raw rookie when it came down to stats. Mike knew stats. He knew college stats. Mike knew the size shoe the guy wore. I mean, when it came down to Eagles, Mike was one of the most loyalist fans I've ever seen. And that includes me. And like I said, I thought, because I've been around with the Eagles and, would be able to throw them out trivia, like 1972, who was the Eagles quarterback? Mike knew, Pete Lisk. Nobody ever heard of Pete Lisk. Pete who?
On Mike's last day at CHOP, he wanted to make sure that everyone who would assume aspects of his role would be well. This initiated a discussion about a healthcare advocacy group called Pennsylvania Health Law Project, also known as PHLP. Mike made it very clear that he wanted to continue to support the work of PHLP and his plans for doing so. Mike chose to have all gifts directed to PHLP, which is in line with his efforts to ensure equitable and high-quality health care for children. He constantly sought opportunities that supported his access to healthcare advocacy efforts. He routinely used the knowledge of the PHLP staff to guide his work. PHLP is a nonprofit law firm that represents Pennsylvanians who need help getting or keeping Medicaid. Their efforts have influenced policy changes in the state of Pennsylvania and have supported consumer education and training opportunities. CHOP's Division of Hematology is grateful to continue this partnership with PHLP in honor of our dear colleague and friend, Michael Schiller.